It's time for another podcast of Rainbow Gastronomy with our special foodie correspondent at Left of Straight Podcasts, Chef Lynn Wheeler. Whether he's taking us to a local food and wine festival, sharing tips and recipes, or interviewing his foodie friends, Chef Lynn always has something up his chef coat. So sit back, have a drink, and let's get cooking.
Hi, fabulous foodies. Welcome back to Rainbow Gastronomy on the Left of Straight Podcast Network. I am your host and special foodie correspondent, Chef Lynn Wheeler. So today I'm going to do something absolutely delicious, but maybe a little odd for some of you. I'm going to roast the skin and seeds of a butternut squash to create a delicious, crispy snack, or what I used as a garnish for a butternut squash soup that I recently made on my own YouTube channel. So let's jump right in and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so I have a beautiful butternut squash here, and I just went ahead and gave that a really good scrub with a brush and some water. Now, if you wanted to, I guess you could use some vinegar or some lemon juice here, but I don't really find that necessary. So we're just going to go ahead and completely peel this entire squash. I'm using a vegetable peeler here. I find that's just a little bit easier and safer in this application, but you could use a knife if that's all you had. So this is about a 1¼ pound squash. Not that that makes a huge difference unless you're going to make this soup as well. So again, like I said, let's just get all this peel off of here. All right, so we're just finishing this up. We're getting the last bit of the peel off of our squash here. And then we're gonna go ahead and prep it up as if I was making the soup. So what we're gonna do is we will remove the top and bottom from the squash, and then we're gonna really carefully just cut it straight down the middle. Okay, so once our squash is cut in half, we're just going to grab a large spoon and we are going to, just as if you were carving a pumpkin, or again, if you were roasting butternut squash for a soup, we're going to scoop out all of the seeds on the inside of this. Just the whole thing, get that right out of there on both sides. And now that I have my seeds out of both sides of the squash, I'm going to grab a sieve, a mesh strainer, and I'm just going to pop all of the seeds out of the fibrous insides. I don't know what you want to call it, the middle of the squash. So just give that a couple of squeezes and you'll get all of the seeds just popping out of there. Okay, so after I popped all the seeds out in that strainer, I just ran them under some cold water and gave them a really good rinse. I kind of pushed them around in this sieve to kind of scrape off any of the pumpkin that was still on there, the squash that was still on there. And we are going to then take another paper towel on top of this and pat them dry. We want these as dry as possible because the water on them is going to be the enemy of crispness. So get them really good and dry. Again, make sure there's no squash still left on there, and then we are going to get them ready to be roasted. Okay, so I have taken my seeds and my peel, and I am putting those on a sheet tray, a cookie sheet, a baking sheet, whatever you want to call it, and we are going to get those seasoned up. So we're going to give them a good glug of some olive oil. You could use just a plain olive oil. I'm using extra virgin here, doesn't have to be, but whatever oil you have. And then on top of that, we are going to season those up with some salt and cracked black pepper. Now, I always use kosher salt. That's not necessary if you just have table salt, or if you use some other kind of salt, flaky sea salt would be great. That's fine. Cracked black pepper, I use fresh cracked pepper all the time. But again, if you have already ground pepper, whatever you want to use. I am also going to add a touch of cumin to these for a little bit of that earthy kind of smoky flavor. But if you don't like cumin, don't use that. You could use some cinnamon, you could use some nutmeg, whatever you like. You could just do salt and pepper. So give those a good toss, and we're going to make sure to spread them out in a nice even single layer. And then we're gonna pop these in the oven. Now, I already had my oven set at 415 with the fan on. If you don't have a fan-assisted oven, then you're gonna wanna do probably like 425. And we're just gonna pop them in there until they're nice and golden brown and everything is crispy and looks delicious. So foodie friends, these are the butternut squash skin kind of chips, I would say. They're so good, crunchy, delicious. Now, they only took about 12 minutes, I would say. I checked them at about 8 or 10 minutes, and some of them were done already, so I pulled those ones out and let the rest finish toasting. Toasted them along with the seeds. These are just, I mean, like as if you took seeds out of a pumpkin. So crunchy, so delicious. So that's it, fabulous foodies. I hope you enjoyed that. Please follow me on all social media at Chef Lynn Wheeler. My website is cheflynnwheeler.com. And if you want to make the soup that I made with this, go to my YouTube channel, which is Getting Saucy with Chef Lynn. Again, thanks guys so much for watching Rainbow Gastronomy here on the Left of Straight Podcast Network, and I will see you next time.
Thanks, Chef Lynn, for another great podcast. Be sure to like this on your favorite video or audio distributor with a thumbs up or 5-star rating, and be sure to look for Rainbow Gastronomy podcasts twice a month here on the Left of Straight Podcast Network. We'll see you next time.